When you're self-conscious, you are questioning your decisions. Self-awareness comes from a place of positive energy, acceptance, contentment, self-assuredness. Self-awareness is more inward-facing. You have an accurate and realistic of understanding of how you are responding to situations and how you feel about things. So everybody tells me, yeah, I'm self-aware. But when I break it down for them, they're like, oh my God, I'm really self-conscious. I'm really worried about what everybody else is thinking. I'm really rationalizing that the things that I do are for the right reasons. And what I've decided is that the word rationalize is really two words. And I've trademarked this. It's rational lies.
You are now listening to the podcast where authors inspire listeners to become authors, the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer, best-selling author, and book enthusiast, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be listening to a different author that will inspire you to join the business of immortality, known as authorship. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by both books, Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself, and the follow-up bestseller, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. Head over to Amazon.com, pick up both books. They are available in a trifecta of paperback, audio, and ebook. Cop all three of both and be on the lookout for another book from yours truly to help podcasters succeed. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the Highlight Reel, builder for authors known as the Going North Podcast, we got another super special awesome human for you today, courtesy of Podmatch.com, the wonderful site where podcast guests get to connect with podcast hosts. And if they're cool, they're freaking in. And today's guest is cooler than 2 cucumbers a day, because you're going to be in for a treat that's good enough to eat, y'all, because we got a thriver in the building, y'all, because today's best-selling author is a coach, y'all, a wonderful coach, as well as a speaker and the architect. You heard that right, folks. The architect of the Warriors Life Code, L.I.F.E. So let's give it up for the MS himself, the magnificent and stupendous Martin Salama. How you doing today, Martin?
Woohoo, Dom. So excited to be here with you, man. What a fantastic introduction. I know that this is going to be a fun as well as informative time with you.
Oh, yeah. The F to the I, fun and informative. You love to see it. That's
Fantastic.
right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness, as with all introductions, and you know, they're not allowed to be 75,000 years long. They're probably only covered, I don't know, 7 minutes. So, mind filling in any cavities I may have missed about you on how you became the Martin that you are today?
Oh, yeah. Well, we can go with that if you want. We can start there. Tell you how I got to where I am. I'd love to say I woke up and I was just like that, but no, it don't work that way. Don't you wish? I took a pill one day and that was it. I was it. No. So let's go back a little to how about 15 years ago? All right.
That'll work.
So 15 years ago was the year of 2008. Now, many people might remember the wonderful times that 2008 was. All right. So for me, I was working on a project with my wife to build a multi-million-dollar health club and tennis center in New Jersey, down by the Jersey Shore. And we had been working on that project for 5 years. From the day she came to me and she said, you just closed a business and you're looking for something to do. I started playing tennis and I could not find anywhere to play because all the courts are taken. Maybe that's an opportunity. We could find a place to do courts, put up some tennis courts. I'm like, all right, let's do a feasibility study. Now, Dom, I got to tell you something. I am not an athlete. I can watch any sport there is out there because I'm an athletic supporter. But I ain't an athlete. And here she is coming and telling me, let's open up a tennis. Well, the people pleaser in me was like, okay, dear, let's look into that. So we go out, we do the feasibility study. The guy comes back and says, it's a great idea. Your area could use it. But if you're looking to make this a profitable business, you got to do more than just tennis. you got to add the other stuffs, membership, health club, spa, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, let's go. Went out, found the architect, the engineers, and what started out as 7 or 8 little courts turned into 100,000+ square foot project. Now we got to find the land. Now we got to go to the town and get the approvals and all that. This takes time. And it took us like 5 years to get all those things done. And in the meantime, we're putting money in, we're getting investors, we're in for over $3 million at this point. Now, if it was 2006 or 2007, when we walked into the bank those days, they were like, yeah, man, just bring it to us when it's ready and we'll fund it. I'm like, okay, great. It was almost as if you were going to Costco and getting samples from the ladies on the end. That's what it was like in the bank. They were giving away money. But for me, it was 2008. We go into the bank. We go, okay, we're ready. Let's go. We got all the approvals. And they're like, yeah, we're not lending now. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, things are slowing down. It's not what it was a year ago, 2 years ago. Hey, man, I can't hear that. I'm like, well, that's what we got to tell you. A month later, September 2008, Bernie Madoff, subprime loans, the financial world falls apart. And just like that, I'm done. I can't pay my mortgage. I can't pay my car payments. And this is the first for me. I've been in business many, many years. This year I turned 60. Back then, 15 years ago, I was 45 years old. I was in business many times, ups and downs and all that. And I always made my bills. I always took care of stuff. So a couple of months later, my son says to me, Dad, look outside. I look outside and there's a truck towing away my BMW because it was repossessed. I'm like, oh my God. Now, I guess I was lucky. We were in the state of New Jersey. Because of what happened in 2008, there were so many houses foreclosed on. It took them years before they finally took that house. And, we kind of lived in it rent free, but we also really didn't take too good care of it either. But and we did whatever. But, eventually they took it. So I kind of went into a depression for about a year. Can you get why?
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah. So it took me about a year to get out of that depression. I went through some therapy. I went through some coaching. And I came out the other side saying, okay, I got to reinvent myself. I'm starting from scratch. I can't get it. I thought I couldn't get any lower than this. So what do I want to do? So I looked back over my life and I realized my happiest times was when I was involved in community events as a leader. And I was a good leader because I was a good listener and a good coach. People would come in and say, I don't know how much time I could give. I said, don't worry, but I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, I'm not asking you to do what I'm doing. Do what you can do. And I would show them their potential. And they would give great stuff and we'd be successful. I realized, hey, I'm a coach. Maybe I should go out and become a coach for real. So I looked into it. I found a place and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And 2 or 3 months before it was time to start, it was my 24th wedding anniversary. And my wife said to me, I'm done. I want a divorce. I'm like, there's 364 other days of the year. This is the day you pick to kick me when I'm down. And I just looked and I said, why does everything keep happening to me? And I want you to remember that phrase because really, that phrase is me telling the world, I'm blaming everybody else for what's going on, right? Why is everything happening to me? I wasn't taking responsibility. So now I still had this idea of going to life coaching. And I think God was sending me a message. He's like, oh, you want to go life coaching? Well, maybe you should work on yourself first. Maybe you should figure out why you're getting divorced, why this happened, why that happened, why you think everything is happening to you. And right before I went, they sent me a list of books to read. And one of them was The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. You ever read that book, Dom?
Great book.
Great book. And that second agreement hit me right between the eyes. Don't take anything personally. I was like, wow, what a concept. And I realized it was a secret that everybody had been telling me my entire life. But until that minute, I wasn't ready to hear it. And when this man said it to me in the book, when I read it, it hit me as if they had just flashed on the lights in Yankee Stadium from complete darkness to like, whoa. I was like, oh my God, that's what I do. I take everything personally. I'm a people pleaser. I have a short temper. I'm a control freak. I got to figure out how that's playing in. Now, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't the full culprit of the loss of the marriage, but I wasn't the only victim. We were both problems and we were both victims of the marriage. But I needed to take responsibility for my end of it. And it started right then. How's that for a beginning of a story, Dom?
Hey, solid beginning. And I was curious because I've heard that she divorced you the day after Valentine's Day. So was it that bad that Valentine's Day? Like, what the heck happens?
My God, did I not get you enough flowers? I don't know. What the heck?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, dude, what was it that bad? Like, damn.
Yeah. I should have known 25 years earlier when I got married on 24 on Valentine's Day that was going to be something that was going to haunt me the rest of my life. Good and bad.
Just plotting all them years. Like, yeah, I think I siphoned all I can siphon out of them. I think I'm going to call it quits.
Exactly. Exactly. So I went into this coach training with an open mind, with willing to change. And they said to me that first weekend, they said, you don't have to be who you think you have to be. You could be whoever you want to be. So I was like, wait a minute, I can change who I am? I was coming into this to help people move forward in their lives. And I didn't think about the change. I was just thinking about helping people find their potential. But to find your potential, you got to be willing to admit what's not working. And I had to start with myself first. And that's what happened. I went there and I went to a great coaching school. And at the end of it, I came out with it and I was like, okay, what kind of coach do I want to be? I decided I wanted to be a divorce recovery coach. Kind of makes sense, right?
Heck
I
yeah.
just come through a divorce myself. So here I went and I started helping people. And because I realized that the coaching has what gotten me through that emotional roller coaster that I was on. It doesn't matter whether you ask for the divorce or you were asked. It's a tough time and it's an emotional roller coaster. So I started doing that and I did that for a few years. And in the meantime, I was coaching, but I wasn't allowing myself to be coached because I couldn't afford it. Over those years, I had to go find a regular job, which stands for me is just over broke. Mm-hmm. And I was working a dead-end job, and I was, again, finding myself blaming others for my lot in life, even though I was coaching. And one day I looked in the mirror, and I was the heaviest I ever was in my life. And more importantly, I wasn't healthy. So it wasn't about the heaviness. It was about what else came as a result of that. So I said, I got to change. I got to do something about it. And a friend of mine was talking about, you could work out from home for 25 minutes, watch a video. I'm like, I could afford that. I could wake up a little earlier than I am. I'm going to work at 7:00, coming home at 7:00. I can get up a little earlier and do that. And in 9 months, I lost 65 pounds. I felt great. I looked pretty good too, man. But also, I started to like myself. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't want to get divorced was, and looking back now, I didn't realize it at the time, is I was afraid nobody was ever going to love me because I already had somebody who I thought loved me and left me. And I realized that I felt that fear because I didn't love myself. And I needed to love myself and like myself. And that's what I did. And I started to change and I read better things and I moved from self-conscious to self-aware. What do you think of that, Tom?
So what's the major difference between self-conscious and self-aware?
Well, as you know, we talked about that. I just recently wrote a book, Worrier to Warrior, going from being somebody who's a warrior with an O to a warrior with an A, for all those who think my Brooklyn accent screws that up. All right. And also recently, before that, I came out with a card deck, which is basically snippets of the book, snippets of my course that you can carry around with you and read whenever you feel like it. And one of them is a card that talks about the difference between self-aware and self-conscious. Okay. Can I read a little bit of it?
Of course.
All right. So self-consciousness comes from a place of negative energy, guilt, conflict, and doubt. Self-consciousness is more outward directed. It's being more concerned about what others are thinking of you and how the situation is going to affect you. You probably react to uncomfortable situations instead of respond. When you're self-conscious, you are questioning your decisions. All right. There's a little more, but you get it. Self-awareness comes from a place of positive energy, acceptance, contentment, self-assuredness. Self-awareness is more inward facing. You have an accurate and realistic of understanding of how you are responding to situations and how you feel about things. So everybody tells me, yeah, I'm self-aware. But when I break it down for them, they're like, oh my God, I'm really self-conscious. I'm really worried about what everybody else is thinking. I'm really rationalizing that the things that I do are for the right reasons. And what I've decided is that the word rationalize is really two words. And I've trademarked this. It's rational lies. You lie to yourself that it's rational to do things that go against what you really believe because it may serve your ego, or you may be people pleasing and helping somebody else and all that. So that's where I was, and that's where I was changing and becoming the different person. I got to tell you, Dom, I'm ADHD. So can you imagine an ADHD guy meditating?
It will be hard, I imagine.
Oh my God, my brain's all over the place. Like, how do I do this? But I started doing things like meditating. And one day I was sitting there and I was doing a guided meditation for 10 minutes. And I had this download of information that I loved in my life. And I wanted to show other people how to love it too. So I finished meditating and I wrote for 2 hours. And out of that came the acronym LIFE, live incredibly full every day. And that's how I live my life now. And that encompasses happy life and meaningful life. For me, a happy life is self-care, self-love, even selfish. And sometimes the word selfish is a good word. Doesn't always mean negative stuff. The meaningful side is where the selfless comes in, giving back to the community, doing for others, going out there and making a difference in the world. So that encompasses live incredibly full every day. And out of that, I became the architect of the Warriors life code. And why a warrior? Because I was one of those guys that worried about everything. And then when the COVID hit in 2021, I'm watching everybody worry like crazy. And it's about 2 months into COVID, and they said, oh, it's only going to be 3 weeks, and then everything will be normal. Remember that? 3 weeks, man.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's May, and we're still shut down. But every day I'm finding a way to go out, put on my mask, even the gloves in the beginning, go shopping and doing all that stuff, and continuing with my life. Even though my wife's home from work, working from the bedroom. The kids are in the different bedrooms. Oh, by the way, I got married again. Just so to a beautiful woman, and we've been married 5 years.
Woohoo!
Right? Woo! Because she and I, our values were the same. She wasn't looking to change me. I was loving her for who she was. Right? So it's a Sunday in May, and we said, let's drive to Manhattan. Let's go to New York City. And if you know anything about New York City, Dom, driving up Fifth Avenue could take forever. Imagine driving up Fifth Avenue and not missing a one traffic light. That's how empty the streets were. And beautiful. I looked around and I'm like, where is everybody? You could go out, you could wear a mask, you could even wear gloves if you want. Go outside, take 6 feet from each other. People were still worried. So I got onto Facebook and I said, guys, I get it. I know why you're worried. That was the old me. I was worried. And I realized now I've been through so many things, the divorce, the losing everything, the weight transfer, the whole thing, the whole thing. And I came out the other side stronger. And I'm never going to be worried again. So I want to show you how to go from being a worrier to a warrior. And that's where the Warriors Life came. And then this past year, I took everything that I'd learned over the last 15 years, plus my life, and put together the book, Worrier to Warrior.
Woohoo! So I'm talking about indeed. I'm talking about indeed. And the beautiful thing is, like if I'm not mistaken, the cards came before the book, right? Or was it
They
vice
did.
versa?
They
Yeah.
did.
So
The
how was
course,
that?
then the card, then the book.
Nice. So how was the process with the cards? That's a rarity for authors who appear on the show, and that's something a lot of folks wouldn't even consider. But it's like, hey, that's actually pretty cool right there for like little reminders and things like that. So how's the
Right.
process like for that?
So it was interesting. I put my course together. I had recorded it. You got to keep your eyes open for opportunities. And a woman who I had known for many, many years, who was my book coach on my first book, which was Recovering from Divorce that I wrote 10 years ago, sent me an email saying, I have a friend who shows people how to make cards. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking tarot cards and stuff like that. But she said you could use cards for anything. So I'm like, oh wow. So the curious side of me, the one who's always looking for opportunities instead of the old guy that was looking for all the problems and me saying, why is everything happening to me? Because now I've changed that to everything happens through me. It's in my power. It's in my control. I'm responsible for my life, good, bad, and indifferent. So I saw this. I was like, let me go watch her webinar. And I went on there. I'm like, maybe I could do that with my course. Maybe I could make these little cards. And if they take my course, great. Here's a great reminder of the stuff that I went through. And if they didn't take my course, here's a great way to get an idea of what the course is about in little snippets. Carry it around, say, I'm feeling something today. Let me see. Let me pull out one of the cards and see if it can help me get through that issue that I'm feeling right then. And that's how I created the cards. And I found this woman and I signed up for her course and I followed her instructions and boom, I made the cards.
Sweet, that's right indeed. Remember the lady's name for those who may be interested?
Absolutely. Her name is Rosie Batista. She's the card deck queen.
Woo! There you go. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So instead of 52 shelf help books, do 52 pick up with one book.
There you go. There you go. Let's play 52 pickup. Dom, let's have some fun. Give me a number between my card don't have 52, they have 33. Give me a number between 1 and 33.
Let's go with 17.
17, right in the middle. All right, 17. It's N for navigate.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Apropos.
So I have an acronym. I love acronyms. Can you tell? For uncover. Okay, which is card number 14, which breaks them down. Unlock and unleash what's keeping you stuck. Unlock what's keeping you stuck and unleash the frustration you're holding on to so you could start your journey. And navigate how your emotional roller coaster is holding you back. Choose the values that are most important in your life. Obtain the tools you need to correctly respond to all situations. Visualize who you want to be from here on out. Embrace the new life you're creating and enjoy endless potential. Reclaim your strong, confident, happy life to live incredibly full every day. So the end card is a huge part of moving forward is learning how to control your emotions. Moving forward starts by understanding and accepting that you can't change things or people. You could only change yourself. Understanding this is important. It's very common in many kinds of relationships, particularly marriages, that people come into relationships believing they'll get their partner to change over time the things they don't like about them. Nothing could be further from the truth. If there are things you don't like about a person you may be in a relationship with, don't expect that you can change that person. You're better off stopping the relationship. So that's what that card says.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about, Dave. Cause yeah, it's so true. It's like, hey, we got to change ourselves before we want to change the freaking world. Cause hey, if you try to change the world, and you miraculously get that change, you might not be ready for it yourself.
Right, exactly. And for me, the biggest relationship I had to change was with myself. Once I changed my relationship with myself, where I went from that I didn't like myself, and I was saying, why does everything happen to me, to liking myself, accepting who I was, saying I can change the things that don't work for me, not to save my marriage, not for my kids, but for me, I was then able to move to the point where I say now things are in my responsibility and things happen through me. And that changed everybody else in my life. I changed myself, and then it changed my relationships with everyone else. And my kids were like, who is this guy? You know, they were used to that. Like one day, one of my kids was in a car accident. They were afraid to tell me, what'd you do? How'd you do this? Now I got to fix it. I was like, okay, are you all right? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, the insurance will take care of that. And you go figure out how to take care of the insurance and you do all the things. I stopped being the control freak dad. I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, dude. So, my goodness, man, since you've been on so many interviews talking about the good stuff that you're doing, help folks really break through their old selves to become new selves, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often?
Oh, wow. What a great question. What a question. Well, that they would ask me more often. Okay. What's the first step you got to do on the road to becoming who you want to become? And my answer to that is you've got to admit what's not working in your life and be willing to let go of them and change. I call it part of my first part of the course, first part of the book, first part of the cards, admission, cleansing, celebration. Admit what's not working, take those habits that are no good and turn them into good habits. That's the cleansing by you saying, I'm not going to smoke anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. Whatever it is, I'm not going to lose my temper as much. And come up with a way so that you can control your emotions instead of you controlling yourself, emotions controlling you. And then celebrate the little victories along the way. If you decide you're going to lose 50 pounds, are you going to wait till you get to 50 to lose? Celebrate at 3. Celebrate at 6. Celebrate at 10. That don't mean go out and have a pizza pie. Have a slice. So that's what I would say. Start with the basics.
You're so right. That probably goes back to your earlier story about how you lost your weight, where you just, oh, let me just wake up a little early every day before going to work, watching a workout tape.
Right, exactly. And I got to tell you, it was with this guy. His name is Sean T. Right, he
Oh,
does this,
yeah.
and he does a 25-minute thing called T25. And those first couple of weeks, I was following the moderated girl on the side. And I got to tell you, I was double over, breathing like crazy. I think I even threw up a couple of times. But I was like, my why is too big to give up. I got to get through this. So if I go slow in the beginning, eventually I'll catch up. And I did.
And caught up he did. That's right, indeed. My man caught up and then eventually set his own trail and blazed it. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, speaking of blazing trails, my man's also now a wonderful published author with this fabulous book, Worrier to Warrior. So, my goodness, if that book were a food, what would it be and why?
You know, I love this question. I never heard it before, but for me, I would have to say it would have to be my favorite food, which is pizza, right? Because every time you have a pizza from somewhere else, it's going to taste different. And every time you pick up this book and you've moved on in your life, it's going to give you a different message that you didn't have before. It's an evolving book. I tell people, leave it at your bedside. Don't just read it and put it away. Use it. Go back. Do the success activities in there and come back to it and say, where am I now from where I used to be? So how's that for a
Hey, it's good indeed. It's good indeed. It's always good when we get pizza as an answer. Indeed. I'm surprised I don't get as much as we usually as I would expect a lot of folks to tell it. But hey, since you're from Brooklyn, it's expected in a good way.
That's right, man. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, if someone comes to Brooklyn, I'll take them on a tour of the best pizza places in Brooklyn and Manhattan. And they'll gain a few pounds after that day.
Oh, I can imagine indeed, because I hear the slices are big too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one place in particular called Artichoke Pizza, where they have one slice that's called the artichoke slice, which has got basically it's like Alfredo sauce with mushrooms, not mushrooms, spinach and artichokes on it. And it's the size of 3 slices. It's huge. The pie is bigger than a typical pie. Wow. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I'm talking about indeed. I'm talking about indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
Ah, that's an easy one for me. Hey, stop taking everything personally. The world doesn't revolve around you. You make it work. You figure it out. Every time someone's coming to have a conversation with you, they're not trying to have a confrontation. They're not looking to get you going. They're looking to talk to you. Stop looking for everybody to figure out what's wrong with Martin. And now I've taken on, and this is what I want to tell myself. What you think about me is none of my business.
There you go. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. 4 agreements in action. You love to see it. Don't take everything so personally. That's right indeed. Not everybody can wake up and be the sun in the solar system. It ain't revolving around us, dang it. A lot of
We all
folks
think
aren't
it
even paying
does.
attention.
We all think it does.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, I'm the greatest human on freaking earth. Everybody's got to acknowledge me.
That's
Be
right.
like, who are you, guy? Oh, I'm him.
You know who's I forget. I'm not going to go there. I was going to say something political. I was like, pass.
Yeah, I hear you. That's the only part of next year I'm not looking forward to. So, my
Yeah.
goodness, I do know folks need to keep up what you're doing, and because a man's only going to be growing and getting better from here. So, for those who need to keep up with you and your journey and cop some copies of your magical books, even some of your decks of cards, what's the best way for folks to do so?
You know, Dom, I figured I got to make it easy. So I came up with an easy website, connectwithmartin.com. You go there, you get a link to go to Amazon to get my book. You get a link to go buy my cards. You get a link to make an appointment for free to meet with me. There are also gifts on there. For example, how would it be if I gave the people a way that they could have the 7 secrets to a warrior abundant mindset in a coloring book? Not just for kids, but for adults too. Separate one for kids and for adults. How about that?
There you go. Because the thing now. Folks are like, this adulting thing, not a fan of it. They didn't tell me about this when I was a kid, or at least I didn't listen when I was a kid. Let me go back to being a kid. Let me do some mindfulness coloring.
Right. And by the way, guys, it's okay to color outside of the lines. There's no
Darn
rules
straight.
anymore. Set your own rules.
That's right. That's right indeed. That's another thing too they don't tell you about. It's like, yeah, if you color outside the lines, it means you're creative. And you're most likely a rebel.
That's
That's right
right.
indeed. Folks talking about black sheep. Nah, man, we're gonna make this sheep pink. That'll
That's a good
really be
color these
getting out of
days.
exactly. Then the black sheep will get jealous and be like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be the stare to the rebelling of a rebellion. What are you doing over here?" Like, oh, I'm the new rebellion colored baby. Woohoo! Pinky. That's right indeed. You can be the
Pink is the
green.
new
I'll be the
black.
pinky. There we go. Oh man. Well, there you have it, folks. ConnectWithMartin.com and days send over to that magical site. Cop some copies of his magical book and share with your friends, family, cat, dog, penguin. Heck, even if you have a pink sheep in your house in your backyard, take a selfie with that sheep and let us know you've been hiding us from all these years indeed. So that way folks can know how to truly rebel in a good way and live the life they
That's
want
right.
to live.
That's right.
So my goodness, before we jump in another rabbit hole, any parting words before we close up shop?
Yeah. My parting word is wake up every morning and practice gratitude. Write down 3 things in a good notebook, in a quality like a moleskin notebook. Write down three things you're grateful for. And then come up with a mantra. Mine is I live incredibly full every day, and live by that rule. And then look for the opportunities instead of searching out the problems.
If you're hearing this part of the episode, that means you're one cool individual. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to share it with at least one other person in your network. Bonus points for 3. And be sure to check out the backlog too while you're at it, because there are hundreds of wonderful episodes to choose from as well.